Today, we're going to break down Ryan Coogler's new horror drama, Sinners, because in this film, you have to look past the fangs and the shadows. The real horror, it's hiding in plain sight.
And that question, that's the key to the whole thing. It's the lens you're supposed to see every single scene, every character, and every drop of blood through.
You see, Sinners isn't your typical monster movie. It doesn't really go for jump scares. Instead, it builds this creeping dread based entirely on atmosphere and culture.
This right here is the core idea. The horror isn't drawn to blood. Well, not at first anyway. It's drawn to life, to energy, to culture. And that's what's so terrifying. In this story, music isn't just some background noise. It's identity. It's community. It is power. And that power, it's like a beacon shining in the dark.
So, to really get the horror, we first have to understand the world that's under attack. Let's set the scene.
Okay, so what's the setup? You've got Ryan Coogler directing Michael B. Jordan, and we're in 1930s Mississippi. Two war vets open a juke joint, which is basically a safe haven for blues music in their community. But really pay attention to that genre, Southern Gothic. That's our first major clue that this story is going to run deep.
So what does that even mean? Well, it's not about things jumping out at you. Southern Gothic is all about atmosphere. It's about exploring these deep-rooted social anxieties through a macabre, kind of twisted lens. The horror comes from the history and the tension of the place itself.
And the movie really takes its time to show us what's at stake. This juke joint isn't just some bar. It's a sanctuary. It's this warm, vibrant place where culture and community just explode with life.
But, you know, that kind of light, that energy, that power, it always gets noticed by the darkness. And this sanctuary is about to become a war zone.
This is the #1 rule of this world. The very thing that makes the juke joint so incredible, its cultural power, is the exact thing that puts a giant target on its back.
And you can just feel the entire atmosphere shift. That warm, open space starts to feel claustrophobic. The music almost feels threatening. The place that was safe is now a trap. And that's when the threat finally shows itself. A coven of vampires descends, and the whole film just snaps from a drama about community into a desperate, terrifying horror story. And the key word here is siege. They're trapped, surrounded by this force that wants to take everything they have.
Okay, this is where the film gets really smart. See, the siege isn't just about bodies, it's about culture. So what are these monsters really after?
The film forces you to ask this: are we just watching some supernatural threat, or is there something more familiar, more real, going on here? And there it is. That's the central thesis of Sinners. The vampires are a metaphor for cultural appropriation, for a predatory force that has no soul, no creativity of its own, so it has to drain it from others.
The film sets up this incredibly powerful contrast. On one side, you have the juke joint, which is all about creation, music, culture, and on the other, you've got the vampires, who are the exact opposite: consumption, predation, and erasure. They're just a void that exists only to swallow the light.
So what does all this mean in the end? What are we supposed to take away from this intense, atmospheric story?
Look, if this was just about surviving the night, it would be a simple horror movie. But the stakes here are so much higher. It's not just about saving your own skin.
This is the heart of the whole battle. It's a fight to protect the very things that define a people, the things that give them power and a voice, especially when there's a darkness trying to snuff them out. And the film leaves us with this final haunting warning that just gets right under your skin. Monsters don't always break in. Sometimes they're invited in by the very light you create.